What's up, guys? Brian Ellwood. Welcome back to the Aligned Coach podcast. Look, if you are all over the place on all the different social media platforms and just feeling overwhelmed by all of that, not really sure where you're specifically supposed to be putting your attention. Do I go live on Instagram or Facebook or Clubhouse or start my YouTube channel or my podcast or email my list? Then I understand, because I was just like that when I first started too. And it's really common to feel that way, especially if you spend time on all these platforms and you see a bunch of other people crushing it and you wonder why it's not working out for you. And so I want to go into this today because I spent like the first 6 years or so of my efforts trying to become an online coach and an expert and an educator, just being spread really thin all over the place on all these different marketing channels. And my growth was honestly pretty slow. I'd get like little spurts here, a little spurt there. And, it worked, but I saw other people making things happen so much faster than me. And it really frustrated me. I was just like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? Is their message more clear? Do they have more energy? Do they have a better camera? What is the secret that they know that's getting them all this engagement and following, and it's, not working for me? What I ultimately realized was that the people that were really crushing it were just focusing on one platform, showing up on one platform on a very consistent basis and mastering that one platform. And eventually, if you look at a big time name in the industry, of course, they're going to have a huge following on all the different platforms. But it's likely that they started with one thing that was their springboard into fame or into just being known. Because if you have a really popular YouTube channel and you have a bunch of loyal subscribers and you built it to hundreds of thousands or millions of subscribers, then you can say, I just launched an Instagram, and you're going to get a bunch of people to go over there and follow you that use Instagram. And so for someone who built up one platform really well, it's easy to springboard to the next and the next and to be successful everywhere. But for a beginner or someone that's new in the game, it's a terrible idea to try to be everywhere, okay? And I want you to think about pre-internet, because, business and marketing and all that stuff has been around long before the internet. And before the internet, there was things like billboards, postcards, signs, TV commercials, radio, newspapers, magazines, stuff like that. That's how people marketed their businesses. And if you think about, let's say you were a business coach for a new entrepreneur prior to the internet, and they were trying to market their, soap company or something like that. They said, I'm trying to sell these bars of soap. And I sent out some letters to, a certain, zip code where I think there's lots of people who are into that. And I have a commercial that I'm going to run on TV, and I'm working on a radio ad. And I'm also working on purchasing some, signs around town. And I'm also going to get a billboard. What would you tell them? And this person's never made any of those things work. They're new. They're trying to figure out business. Don't you think you'd be like, why don't you pick the best one of those and slow down and invest some money into it and time and see if it works and get good at that, versus just throwing a bunch of shit at the wall and seeing what sticks and wasting a bunch of time and energy? Well, that's essentially what people are doing if they're trying to spend a little bit of time on all these different social media platforms trying to make it work. And The key difference in the examples that I gave there is that the old forms of marketing all cost money, right? It costs money to be in the newspaper, to be on TV, to be on the radio, etc. And so people were more likely to be conservative. But now we have the opportunity to create profiles on these different social websites and YouTube and all that stuff, podcasts, pretty much for free. And so while that's a huge advantage that's allowing people to really succeed in this tech age of business, it also can be your greatest thing that really just shoots you in the foot and holds you back. It's like, well, because I have all these free options to market my business, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I start a YouTube channel? Why wouldn't I have a blog? Why wouldn't I get on TikTok and Clubhouse and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and start a podcast and all this stuff? And in one sense, you can understand that argument, right? You can understand why someone, it's just like, it'll take just 10 seconds just to start a free account. Like, why wouldn't I do that? The problem with that is that when you wake up the next day and you're on 10 different platforms and you're like, okay, I need to do my job of attracting new people into my world. It's one of the biggest and most overlooked phases of business, and especially online education, is doing something to attract new people into your world. And if you're on 10 different platforms, then you're going to be really overwhelmed. And it's like each one of those eats up headspace. It's almost like having 10 different windows open on your computer, and you're looking at all of them, and they're distracting you. They're slowing the computer down. It's just messing everything up. That does the same thing. And now you might be saying, well, Brian, I see that you're putting content everywhere. And this is true. I am. And I have an assistant who does this for me. What I do is I sit down and I record a video, and the video goes to all the different platforms. The audio gets stripped out, made into a podcast. She puts it on, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, emails it to the email list, puts it on the blog, all of that, puts it on LinkedIn. However, I don't spend time logging into each of those places to check the comments, to check the DMs, to try and share it, to try and boost it. And I don't really just think about how I'm going to grow like my Instagram profile, because that's not my platform of choice. I don't think about how to grow my YouTube channel. Even that's not my platform of choice. You might be watching this video on one of those platforms, but I am focusing on my podcast because that is the channel where I've had the most success. That's the channel where I've grown my show to over 1,000 downloads per episode, and where I get multiple clients each month that, work with me at a high ticket price, and they come to me and say, I've been listening to you for a long time, and, what can we do to work together? So I've been nurturing them there. And so that is where all my focus is going. And that simplifies my entire business. I think, how can I grow the podcast? How can I make it better? How can I get better reviews? How can I, even run some ads to promote the podcast? I can take that piece of content and put it everywhere. All those other places it goes, though, that's just a very slow growth kind of thing. Like, you're slowly building this asset organically. Like, maybe people will see it. Maybe a hashtag will pick it up and some people will follow it or whatever. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't matter. You can have a very successful business. I'm talking like 6-figure per month or more business with just one channel, with just one platform where you show up consistently and you grow it and you help people on that platform by putting out regular content. Okay? So let's shift gears and talk about how to pick that platform. Okay. Well, because we've already, decided you just need one. I've told you why you should just pick one to focus and how you can pay someone to repurpose everywhere else. But how do you pick the one? Well, the way I think about it is, where do I like to consume my content? The truth is I don't really like social media. I don't have the social media apps on my personal phone. I log into those on desktop whenever I need to do something on them, which is rare, maybe once a week or something like that. But I don't personally like to be on Facebook and Instagram and all that. I love listening to podcasts, so I've always got like a podcast running, that I'm listening to almost every day. And I love the audio format, and I like the creation of the podcast. I like to sort of just be in my house and turn the mic on and record something that I think is going to be valuable for you, and then publish it, put it on iTunes, right? Have it go to Spotify, have it go everywhere else, and allow you the chance to get some training in audio form. So you could be at the gym, you could be in the car, you could be going on a walk, whatever, and you can still learn. I like this format the best for me. And so that's why I've chosen the podcast. And so for you, what if you saw it on your calendar tomorrow, you had to spend, 6 hours creating something, what would that be? Think about not only the types of content you will need to create, but also, whether or not you would enjoy creating those. Like if it's Instagram or Facebook, you're going to have to create static posts, like maybe a picture with a little blurb that you wrote up. And some people love to write more than anything. And then maybe that's your thing. So what is that for you? If you were going to wake up tomorrow and pick your favorite platform where you would love to show up consistently, what is that going to be for you? And will you enjoy what it's going to take to grow that? Because it's not just the content creation. You also need to learn how to be good at that platform. I'm about to invest in a course on how to make this podcast even better, how to grow it, and just all the different things that I probably already that I probably do not know now about how to make the podcast better. But again, that simplifies the types of education that you can then go out and look for. If you say, I'm going to be a YouTube person, then you know what type of coach you need to help you with marketing. It's not just this, one size fits all marketing coach. So many people hire a coach that just promises them 10K months or something like that. And then they just show up and they're just ready to do whatever that person says to hit 10K months. 3 months into the program, like, man, I hate doing what this person's telling me to do. And it's because you didn't get clear on what you would like to do. So we're kind of talking about two things here, just to sum this up. We're talking about how focusing all your energy on one platform is like taking a flashlight beam, putting it into a laser beam. You'll get way more results. You could wake up every day if you chose a podcast and text one of your friends and say, leave me a 5-star review. There, you did something to grow that channel, to improve it. That's way better than just being scattered and checking all these different platforms. So one is getting laser focused on one platform, and two is getting clear on the types of content you are inspired to create. If clicking on a microphone and sitting down in front of it with a glass of whiskey or a green smoothie or whatever your flavor is, if that sounds fun to you, then maybe that's what you should do. And maybe you should just become the best at that and screw everything else. And, I had FOMO for so many years, just like, Well, if I'm not on this channel, it seems so hot and new, like I'll be missing out. What I was out on was the power of focus that could grow my audience far beyond like what the, sexiness of this new channel could do for me, especially if I wasn't going to be consistent there and really go all in and figure it out. So hope this helps, guys. That's about all I got for you. And, if you still want to be everywhere, then find a way to repurpose. Build a content repurposing system like I have, where you can take a piece of content, put it everywhere. It's way easier than you're probably thinking it is. Cool. Hope that helps, guys. And I am launching in a couple of weeks a program that it's a one-time thing. It's extraordinarily valuable for what you're going to get. If you want to sit with me live on Zoom for 4 weeks in a row, and I'm going to teach you in depth the entire blueprint to start your expert business, then shoot me an email and let's have a quick exchange to see if it makes sense for you or not. If it does, I can just shoot you over the details through email. But essentially, if you want a clear blueprint on what are you supposed to do first, second, third, fourth to grow your coaching or your consulting or experts business, then this program is going to leave no stone unturned. You will be 110% clear on what you need to do to make this business work for you. We're going to go over choosing your avatar, defining the outcome you want to create for them, creating your program and your offer, how you're going to attract new people into your world, which is what we touched on today's episode, how you're going to create content that nurtures them along and builds trust and gives them value, how you're going to promote your programs and deliver. And I'm also going to show you how to create a really solid weekly routine that you can use to know what to do ongoing as you grow your business. Because I think for me and for a lot of people I talk to, the biggest thing is just this overwhelm. Like, what am I missing? What do I focus on to make this business work? What's step one? What's step two? What's step three? So I put together a very scientific blueprint for you, like this plus this plus this plus this, so that there's no vague BS. It takes all the guesswork out of it. Email me, brian@brianellwood.net. I'll put that down in the show notes to talk if that sounds interesting to you. This program is really cheap too. It's less than $1,000 to be a part of this. I'll tell you that much. Why am I doing it for so cheap when I've charged multiple thousands of dollars for programs like this and gotten plenty of people enrolled in the past? I'm doing it because I want something from you too. Because this training that I'm going to film and record is ultimately going to evolve into an online course that I will sell. And I cannot make a great online course unless I have feedback from you. I need you to give me your feedback on if I left anything out, if every story I told made sense, what questions you have. So I'm going to be drilling you with, finding out what your questions are if you decide to join this program. So that is what I ask in return for anyone who's this sounds good to, is you need to dedicate to showing up with me 4 calls. They'll be an hour and a half to 2 hours long each, and pay attention and ask good, honest questions. So email me if that sounds like a fit for you. Thank you guys for tuning in to the podcast today. Have a fantastic rest of your day. To your success. Peace.